Do you ever wonder why some people rise from nothing and build empires, while others stay stuck in the same place their whole lives? It's not luck, it's not money, it's the mind. Millionaires are not born, they are built, by reprogramming their thoughts every single day. And if you're ready to break your old limits and unlock the power within you, then stay with me, because this could be the moment everything starts to change for you. The first step in reprogramming your mind like millionaires is understanding the immense power of thought. Every achievement, every failure, every moment of clarity or confusion starts with a single thought. The wealthiest and most successful individuals didn't just stumble into riches, they trained their minds to think in a way that aligned with abundance, growth, and possibility. This wasn't by accident. They made a conscious decision to reject thoughts of limitation and embrace thoughts of potential. Your mind is like a fertile field. Whatever seed you plant, positive or negative, will grow and bear fruit. The problem most people face is that they plant seeds of fear, doubt, scarcity, and failure without even realizing it. These thoughts take root and shape their daily decisions, which in turn shapes their entire life. But millionaires, those who have broken through average thinking, chose to deliberately plant seeds of courage, wealth, creativity, and belief. They didn't just do this once. They did it every day until it became a habit, a way of life. It all begins with awareness. You must observe the kind of thoughts you think throughout the day. Are you constantly thinking you're not good enough, not smart enough, or not lucky enough? Or are you thinking in terms of growth, learning, and persistence? Millionaire minds are aware of their thoughts like a hawk watches its prey. They do not allow negativity to take root. The moment a limiting thought arises, they challenge it. They replace it with a stronger, empowering belief. This is a mental discipline that anyone can develop, but it requires commitment. Once you become aware of your thoughts, the next step is to direct them. This means choosing your thoughts deliberately and consistently. If you wake up thinking, "This day is going to be hard," you've already programmed your mind for struggle. But if you wake up saying, "This day is filled with opportunities," you begin to train your brain to look for those chances. The mind, once directed with focus, becomes your most powerful servant. It will begin to filter reality according to your dominant thoughts, showing you paths and possibilities that you never noticed before. Millionaires don't just hope for success, they expect it, and they expect it because they've conditioned their minds to see success as natural, inevitable. This doesn't mean they don't face challenges. On the contrary, many of them have failed more than the average person, but because their mind is wired for resilience, they bounce back faster. They use failure as a teacher, not a sentence, and this starts with how they think about failure. They don't see it as the end, they see it as feedback. That belief alone is a product of mental reprogramming. Another aspect of millionaire thinking is visualization. They often visualize their goals in vivid detail. This isn't some magical wishful thinking, it's a practical mental technique. When you visualize your goals clearly, your subconscious begins to believe it's already possible. This creates alignment between your desires and your actions. Your body starts acting in accordance with the vision your mind holds. Millionaires do this not once, but daily. It becomes their mental rehearsal. The mind doesn't know the difference between reality and imagination. It responds to both. So if you feed it a vision of success often enough, it begins to make decisions in favor of that vision. Consistency is the key. You can't reprogram your mind in one day. Just like physical fitness, mental fitness requires daily training. Millionaires read books that uplift them. They listen to mentors and ideas that expand their thinking. They distance themselves from negativity, both from people and media. They know that every input affects their output. So they guard their mind like a vault, only allowing in thoughts that serve their mission. Most importantly, they take responsibility. They don't blame others for their situation. They know that their outer world is a reflection of their inner world. So they focus on inner growth. They understand that if they can change their thinking, they can change their results. This belief gives them control, power, and confidence. It makes them unstoppable. You have this power too, right now, but you must choose it. You must begin to think like the person you want to become. This is not fake, it's faith, faith in yourself, faith in your ability to grow, faith in the process. Because the truth is, nothing will change in your life until you change your thinking, and the moment you do that, everything else begins to follow. The second step in reprogramming your mind like millionaires is the consistent repetition of empowering beliefs. This is not just a mental exercise, it is a lifelong habit. Wealthy individuals understand that the mind is programmed by repetition. Just as a muscle grows with consistent training, the mind reshapes itself with consistent thought. What you say to yourself every day, consciously or unconsciously, becomes the blueprint of your reality. Millionaires choose to repeat thoughts that reinforce belief, confidence, abundance, and action. They do not allow the world to define their inner narrative. They define it themselves over and over until it becomes their truth. Most people speak to themselves in a way that they wouldn't even speak to someone they dislike. They say things like, "I can't do this," "I'm not worthy," "I always fail," "Nothing works out for me." These phrases are not harmless. They are instructions to your subconscious mind, and your subconscious follows them like a soldier following orders. It does not argue with you. It simply accepts whatever is repeated often enough. Millionaires are acutely aware of this, which is why they feed their mind with declarations of success, capability, and vision. They affirm what they want until it becomes the only acceptable reality in their inner world. Think of the mind as software. If the current program running is fear, doubt, scarcity, and mediocrity, then the results will match that programming. The only way to change it is to install a new program. That new program is made up of affirmations, declarations, and intentional self-talk. This is why successful people are often seen speaking words of power. Not because they are pretending, but because they are training. They are reprogramming. They speak not from where they are, but from where they are going. They say, "I am successful," even when they have not yet succeeded. They say, "I am confident," even when fear still whispers, "This is not delusion, it is discipline. This practice must be daily, not when you feel like it, not when everything is going well, but especially when it's hard." Especially when life is throwing challenges in your face. That is when the repetition matters most, because the mind is most vulnerable during difficulty. If you don't feed it strength, the world will feed it weakness. Millionaires don't wait for motivation to speak positively. They do it even when they're tired, even when they've failed, even when they feel unsure, because they understand that consistency is more powerful than emotion. They don't let feelings determine their words. They let their words shape their feelings. It is also important to realize that repetition must be done with emotion. Simply saying words without belief is not enough. The mind absorbs what you feel more than what you say. That's why wealthy individuals inject their affirmations with emotion. They don't just say, "I will succeed." They say it with conviction, with fire in their voice, with certainty in their eyes. They engage their emotions so deeply that the subconscious begins to accept the new belief as a reality. This is what creates change, not just words, but words spoken with energy, intention, and heart. Another powerful form of repetition is surrounding yourself with an environment that reflects the beliefs you want to reinforce. Millionaires don't just say affirmations. They read them, write them, see them. They put quotes on their walls, set reminders on their phones, listen to empowering audio, and fill their space with cues that align with their vision. Every time they walk into a room, there is something to remind them of who they are becoming. This environmental repetition strengthens their mental repetition. It's like hearing the same song every day. You begin to memorize the lyrics without even trying. One of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking that once they say something a few times, it should manifest. That's not how reprogramming works. The old beliefs didn't take root overnight. They were planted over years of exposure, repetition, and emotional reinforcement. So replacing them takes patience and persistence. Millionaires know this. They don't get discouraged when change doesn't come fast. They stay faithful to the process. They keep speaking, keep declaring, keep believing, until their new beliefs become automatic, instinctive, natural. You must treat your mind like a garden that never stops growing. Every day, weeds of doubt and fear try to creep in. but through repetition, you pull them out and plant seeds of strength, faith, and clarity. And the more you repeat those empowering thoughts, the deeper their roots grow. Over time, your dominant thoughts shift, your decisions improve, your actions align, and your results transform, not because the world changed, but because your mind did. The third step to reprogramming your mind like millionaires is taking deliberate action aligned with your new beliefs. This is the bridge between thought and reality. It's not enough to think like a millionaire or to speak like one. You must begin to move like one. Ideas that remain in the mind are powerless unless converted into physical effort. The world does not respond to what you think. It responds to what you do. Millionaires understand that real transformation happens when thought turns into movement and belief becomes behavior. They don't just plan success, they perform it. When someone begins to change their mental blueprint, the next natural move must be consistent, intentional action. Without this, the reprogramming process remains incomplete. Action reinforces belief faster than anything else. Every time you act on a new thought, you prove to yourself that it is true. For example, if you affirm that you are confident, but you never step into uncomfortable spaces, your mind will resist that affirmation. But the moment you walk into a challenge, speak up, lead, or show courage, the mind starts to accept that belief more deeply. It begins to say, yes, this is real, we are this person now. The action validates the new identity. Millionaires make bold moves. They do not wait for conditions to be perfect. They do not wait for approval or signs. They act with urgency because they know time is the most precious resource. They take calculated risks, start when they feel unready, and build momentum through motion. The average person hesitates, overthinks, and lets opportunity slip through their fingers. The successful person moves forward, knowing that progress is made step by step, not in one giant leap. They have learned that small, consistent actions done daily shape the future far more than rare moments of inspiration. Deliberate action also brings clarity. Many people sit still, hoping to figure everything out before they move. But clarity does not come from sitting, it comes from doing. When you take the first step, the next step reveals itself. Millionaires don't always know how everything will work out. But they trust that by moving forward, new answers will appear, new doors will open, and new strength will rise within them. They use action to learn, to adapt, to evolve. Every action teaches them something valuable about themselves, about business, about people, about life. Another powerful truth is that action builds discipline. You cannot wait for motivation to show up every day. It won't. Millionaires operate by discipline, not by feelings. They work when they're tired. They study when they're bored. They practice when nobody is watching. They know that consistency beats talent when talent doesn't show up. Their lives are built on routines that support their goals, waking up early, managing time, tracking progress, and holding themselves accountable. These are not accidental habits. They are intentional structures designed to keep their minds aligned with success. Taking deliberate action also creates momentum. Success is not a single event. It is a chain reaction. One positive step leads to another. One small win fuels the next. Millionaires use action to keep energy high, to stay emotionally engaged, and to stay focused. When others are stuck in self-doubt or waiting for the right mood, they are already halfway through their next project. They understand that motion beats emotion and that speed matters. The faster you take action on an idea, the more power it carries. Hesitation weakens ideas. Immediate action brings them to life. Moreover, action sets you apart. In a world full of talkers, dreamers, and planners, the doers are rare, and therefore valuable. Most people consume information but never apply it. They read books but don't execute. They listen to advice but never follow through. Millionaires rise above the noise by doing what others only think about. They live their lessons. They embody their principles. They are not just inspired by success. They inspire it through their movements, their work ethic, and their relentless drive. Importantly, deliberate action means doing the uncomfortable. It means having tough conversations, showing up early, staying late, facing rejection, learning new skills, and starting again after failure. Millionaires embrace this discomfort because they know it's where growth happens. They don't avoid the pain of progress. They lean into it, because they've learned that success hides behind the very things most people run from. Every uncomfortable action expands your comfort zone, strengthens your mindset, and deepens your belief in yourself. Lastly, deliberate action teaches you that you are in control, that you can change your life through effort, strategy, and persistence. This sense of control fuels your confidence and anchors your vision. Each action you take is a vote for the person you want to become. Millionaires cast those votes daily. They don't rely on luck, on talent, or on anyone else. They bet on themselves, again and again, and they back that bet with action. When you begin to reprogram your mind like millionaires, you no longer live like the average person. You start thinking intentionally, speaking powerfully, and acting boldly. Your goals don't remain dreams, they become plans. You no longer wait for motivation, you move with discipline. And the results begin to show in your mindset, your confidence, your habits, and eventually in your bank account. You separate from the crowd not by chance, but by consistent effort and upgraded beliefs. That's the real difference between those who watch success and those who build it. So, if you truly want to rise, don't just wish, reprogram. Don't just dream, decide, and don't just think like the rich, act like it, because success doesn't come to those who hope for it. It comes to those who prepare their minds for it.